So once again, ladies and gentlemen, I am back on your screens. It's nice to see you all again, talking about the woke insanity, the controversy that took place at this year's Paralympics. Hopefully, it will be the last time. It should be the last time. We just got to wait another 4 years and I'll be doing it all all over again. But as we all know, for the first time ever, a trans athlete who goes by the name of Valentino Petrillo competed in the women's T12 200 meter and 400 meter races. How stunning, how brave, how progressive. You just can't get any more proof that we are for sure living in a clown world. Now, as you would imagine, this caused a lot of people to come out and speak out against this, as it should. You know, everybody should be coming together collectively and saying, no, this is wrong. We shouldn't have men competing in women's sports. But as we all know, we have the woke leftist liberals who defend this every single day, whilst also every single day acting like they care about women's rights while supporting something that completely undermines it. Yeah, I know. Doesn't really make sense, does it? But then again, well, it does make sense today. Not a lot. Now, JK Rowling was one of the people who came out and pushed back against this. She posted the following on X, and it's absolutely brilliant. Why all the anger about the inspirational Petrillo? The cheat community has never had this kind of visibility. Out and proud cheats like Petrillo prove the era of cheat shaming is over. What a role model. I say we give Lance Armstrong his medals back and move on. Hashtag cheats, hashtag no shame. And as I said last time, she is completely correct when she says that. You know, it doesn't seem like too long ago now people would call out cheating when they see it, but in our liberal society, what happens? Well, people start acting like seals and they clap like it's something that is stunning and brave and it's a huge achievement, when it isn't. But Valentino Petrillo has responded to JK Rowling after qualifying yet again for another semi-final. Earlier in the week, they qualified for the semi-final in the 400 meter, but didn't make it to the final. And in the 200 meter that just happened, as I just said, they qualified for the semi-final, but again, they didn't make it to the final. The fact men, regardless, are now officially competing in women's sports at the Paralympics, it is just absolutely ridiculous. And if you agree with that, ladies and gentlemen, as always, make sure to leave a like rating. If you're new, hit that subscribe button, turn on bell notifications so you never miss a video. Comment on this video, share this video around, follow my socials down below in the description, and let's continue with this madness. Valentina Petrillo takes aim at JK Rowling. I expected different from her. Valentino Petrillo, the Italian father of two who qualified on Friday for a second semi-final of these Paris Paralympics and women's sprinting, has hit back at being called an out and proud cheat by author JK Rowling, saying, "I've never even read Harry Potter." I mean, what do you want? A medal? It would probably make up for you not winning one at the Paralympics. I'm just saying. The 51-year-old, who has sparked ferocious controversy by running as a woman at these games despite competing until the age of 45 as a man, absolutely insane, was savaged by Rowling after winning a 400 meters heat for visually impaired female athletes. And as you can see, it just repeats the earlier post I read out from JK Rowling on X. When these remarks were put to Petrillo on reaching the semi-finals of the 200 meter, the self-declared trans dad replied, "I'm flattered that Rowling is talking about me. I've never even read Harry Potter. By the way, I was told that she in her own book wrote about a sport where there is no gender, so I was expecting different behavior from Rowling." Wait, what? You mean Quidditch in a magical land that doesn't exist? Right. No, I guess that makes sense. Yeah, it's definitely the same thing, isn't it? While Quidditch, the imaginary game played in the Harry Potter novels by witches and wizards riding flying broomsticks, did indeed feature participants of both sexes, it hardly seemed a legitimate point of comparison with the highest level of para-sport. Yeah, because it is a legitimate comparison. It's actually quite embarrassing. But Petrillo remained defiant, declaring, "There is so much transphobia in all of this. The most important word in Olympic and Paralympic sports is inclusion." Right then. We have to find solutions to include everyone because everyone needs to feel joy in sport. So that's why we're here. I think that if we want to, we can find a solution. I would like to live in the Paralympic village all my life because honestly, I feel protected here. I mean, sometimes these comments really do make me scratch my head. But firstly, I don't really know why we still have to sit here and say this. It isn't transphobia to say men shouldn't be competing in women's sports because it's common sense. I know it's this very offensive and scary thing these days, which is why our liberal society likes to ignore it. But also the buzzword inclusion that Petrillo mentions doesn't mix with fairness, because when you talk about inclusion, inclusivity, you are then opening the door for men to come into women's sports and compete. That's inclusivity today, which by default throws fairness in women's sports out the window, so you can't have both. And yes, people do deserve to have joy competing in sport, just in the right category, because what about all the women who don't feel joy when they have to compete against men? Right, so we have the big issue there in itself, because it's not about joy for everyone, is it? It's about the individual. In this instance, instance, Valentina Petrillo feeling joy themselves, regardless of how others feel. As long as they feel joy and they're competing, that's all that matters. And quite simply, we shouldn't be catering to the feelings of a guy of other men in other sports who want to compete against women. We should value the truth more. Biological facts, which I don't know if you're aware of this, do not care about your feelings. And if all of that upsets people like Valentina Petrillo and other men, other dudes wishing to compete against women in sports and any other competitions that are meant for women, well, that's their problem. Get over it. And they talk about finding a solution. Well, there is a simple solution to all of this. I don't know why we overcomplicate things. We should just have, plain and simple, men competing against men and women competing against women. I know, right? It's this big thing. Wow, what a discovery. But Petrillo's progress to the semi-finals deprived Spain's Nagor Falgado Garcia, I hope I got that name right, definitely didn't, the fastest loser in the T12 200 meter heats, of the chance to advance, with the governing body of the para-athletics choosing to deviate from world athletics by deciding, oh my days, I can't believe this, that womanhood could be defined solely by passport status. That is what now the Paralympics and other organizations out there have reduced womanhood to, a passport status. Get out of it, man. Folgado, 20, is 31 years younger than Petrillo, a staggering age disparity for a 200-meter race at the elite international level. Born in Valencia, she suffered bilateral retinoblastoma at 2 years old, leaving her blind in her left eye with only very limited vision in her right. Irene Argua, a Spanish lawyer who has led the campaign in the country for fairness for women in sports, castigated the injustice in the strongest terms, as she should. Our Paralympic athlete has been left out of the semi-finals because Valentina Petrillo has qualified instead, she said. Nagore should be in the semi-final. Female athletes are being discriminated against. Well, in the woke activist eyes, these trans athletes, if they're not allowed to compete, they're the ones being discriminated against. Left is right, up is down. You know the saying by now, I'm going to get it on a t-shirt, and common sense is hard to find. But there you have it. Whilst Valentino Petrillo didn't make it to the final, he still took places away from women in the heats, in the 200 meter and in the 400 meter. And you know, I wonder how those women are gonna feel, because let's be honest about things, this tournament will end and in a couple of months or so we'll all forget about it, but the women who were competing, that's gonna live with them for a very long time. They sacrificed a lot, and this is the Paralympics, by the way, so just imagine that. They sacrificed a lot. You know, they dedicated their lives to a sport. You know, they trained every single day. They waited 4 years for this opportunity, and it was all thrown out the window because of these woke activists at the Paralympics, and they are always going to remember that they had a place stolen from them that shouldn't have been taken from them in the first place. Oh, but it doesn't matter though, does it? Because as long as dudes get to compete against women just because they feel like they're women, well, that's fine, and that's all anybody should care about. Yeah, absolutely not. And let's go back to the comments made by Valentina Petrillo after the 400-meter semi-final race. This is crazy. He goes on to say, "We are here today on September 2nd, 2024. Let's mark this down as a historic day. From this day forth, I don't want to hear any more talk about discrimination or prejudice for trans people. Now, I've made it, so we can all make it if I've made it. I've done my little bit, and we can all make it. So essentially, we can't criticize what's going on anymore. Right, we can't sit here and stand up for truth, reality, common sense. And let's remember, that's not only how Valentina Petrillo feels, that's how the woke mob in general feels. And then you get industries and organizations who bow down to them and then push the very same message. You can't speak out against this. I mean, let's take me, for example, and the channel and the videos I make. We know I shouldn't really be sat here talking about this because we know YouTube doesn't really like it. But more importantly, there are women out there and female athletes who also get silenced for talking about this. That is completely insane. That is ridiculous. If anybody talked about it today, they get labeled all the buzzwords underneath the sun. You know them all by now because you've probably been called one. They don't want people speaking out against this. They want people to accept what is going on. Just shut up and accept everything. What is it going to take for one of these organizations to grow a spine, you know, a backbone, and say, yeah, you know what, maybe this shouldn't be happening? Perhaps when all the competitors are men. I mean, let's be honest here. If one competitor is a guy in a women's category, that should be enough for somebody to go, yeah, let's put the brakes on this. But we know this isn't the time we're living in right now. I do think it will change, but right now we are living in the time of extremely weak people who are scared to stand up for anything, even if it's the truth. Not you guys, but the people in organizations, they're scared to do anything. They're scared to upset people. So we end up in this position today. But leave your thoughts down below, ladies and gentlemen. What are your thoughts on this story? What are your thoughts on Valentino Petrillo's comments? I'd like to know. If you have enjoyed, make sure to leave a like rating. If you're new, hit that subscribe button, turn on bell notifications so you never miss a video. Comment on this video, share this video, follow my socials down below in the description. But until next time, once again, it has been your host JD. Have a great day, stay safe, and I'm out. Peace.